You're tuned to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partner Show. We're all broadcast on talk radio and also podcast on Spreaker and distributed on its platforms. Jeannie Roller is my co-host. We talk on this podcast about different healthcare issues, things that we have come in contact with, things that have happened to us, which is why we started the podcast, to try to get answers for ourselves, and then found that a lot of times we can't get answers because it's such a conglomerate of the healthcare. And one of the things that started this off, Jeannie, I know you'll agree with me, is when we were thrown into different issues that we were told that we were too modest for so-and-so different surgeries and things like that. And that word gets thrown around so many times. We also have a friend that we met through Misty Roberts, whose website and web address and all of that is Medical Patient Modesty. And I know both you and I disagree about using that word modesty in the medical community because we feel that it is not modesty. And you've got an article that we want to talk about that gives a definition of what modesty specifically is. And what we're talking about and what our mindset is about the dignity of care in the medical arena and in the healthcare system. And where has that dignity and the respect gone for the patients and certainly for, the medical personnel as well. I mean, we always include them. I really bow down to people that can work in the medical industry. It's very difficult, especially with the customer service, and that's what it is at the end of the day. It is a job, and it is patients are customers. So let's talk about that today, specifically the difference between modesty, what we're trying to be told that we have the problem with, which we don't, and what dignity is, what we're seeking for the patients and for the care that we think should happen. And I don't want to say kind of the way it used to be, but kind of the way it used to be, and we found that we were kind of thrown into this situation now. It's more big box healthcare than it is with patient-centered, even though I've been told so many times the care that I'm receiving is certainly patient-centered. So, Jeannie, let's talk about that. What do you think?
Well, I was reading this article out of Very Well Health. It's how patient modesty affects medical care. It was written by a lady named Tricia Torrey, who I disagree with most of the time. She is a patient empowerment and advocacy consultant.
Yeah, she is.
So
pretty well known too. Yeah,
she is. And modesty she defines as a person's shyness or fear of exposing their body to someone else. And she says that there are reasons that people will be modest. Either they're embarrassed, fearful of being judged, religious or cultural beliefs, or past medical or sexual trauma. Mm-hmm. And, to me, modesty is not the same as dignity.
Right.
Modesty is a personal belief or something, but everyone deserves dignity of their body. Mm-hmm. And that is what you and I fight so hard for. Right. It is not that, we cannot get medical care because we cannot show an intimate part of our body. Right. What we are saying is it has to be done in a respectful way. Mm-hmm. We have to agree with who sees it, who touches it, etc. That is the difference between modesty and dignity to me, because I am female. I don't care if I have a female provider. If parts of my body don't need to be exposed, then I don't want my body parts exposed even to another same gender provider. Mm-hmm. That I don't care. Mm-hmm. It is about dignity. It is not about modesty.
Yeah. So I can hear people saying that we're kind of putting up too many. It's the healthcare arena. They're busy. They got all this stuff going on, and we're putting up too many blockades and the whole bit to try to get ourselves cared for. But I was talking with a nurse, and this is quite a while ago, and she just came out with it, and she's not the only person that has ever said that to me, and I know you agree with the same thing about what I'm going to say. And she said, I was in the healthcare industry for 25, 30 years, and we got to the point where, there would be just patients on gurneys to and from surgery, and they'd be lined up out in the hallway, and, nobody would even cover the patients. And she'd say, right. She would walk by and she'd say, doesn't that patient, first of all, it's being freezing anyway, so you're out of the whole loop of it because you're on drugs. You're probably, unconscious, if you will, because of the medications and stuff. And now here you are, and somebody doesn't even have you covered with a sheet or something else. So there's the warmth. But I mean, my goodness. And she said, yeah. And it would be just routine that this was the attitude. And I'm like, that's what I ran into in my own personal situation. I know you did. And I'm like, what gives? I've talked to surgeons, and it's like there seem to be either in one school or the other. My opinion, of course, this is all our opinion on this podcast. But one would say, well, it doesn't matter. We've seen all of it, next, whatever, we're on a time element. We do this and that and do this and do that. And other surgeons will say, yeah, I mean, that should be forefront. I teach my whole staff. That's the way the whole procedure should be. And how many times have we exhaled on this and go, okay, point us to those people. And if you're not those people, then tell us. So we can point ourselves to those people. If we're the ones that are targeted as having the problem, quote unquote, our modesty problem, which that's not what it is, then tell us that this is what you're going to do. This is your apparatus. This is your routine. This is the whole bit, so I can go somewhere else. That's all I'm asking. I don't want to be that patient in the hallway when people are walking by and I'm just naked, because that's what I was, where I was in the Orlando hospital. That's what I was. And it seems kind of facetious, but I mean, people were just walking in and out. There was nothing that I could do to help myself. And when I tried to, they shot me with more drugs and said, this is the way it is, lady. That's it. Leave it or lump it, and that's it. This is our routine. Really? I should have known that, so I didn't go there. And I know you feel the same way about it. And, you have to speak up for yourself. I wasn't trying to be a troublemaker. You aren't trying to be a troublemaker. But why is this stuff being pushed on us? This isn't healthcare as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's the attitude, Cindy. I mean, in this article, you can see the attitude. Mm-hmm. She goes on to say that dignity has 4 components, all which affect modesty. Respect, people need privacy, confidentiality, autonomy, people need choices and the ability to make decisions. But here is the big thing that I have trouble with her saying: empowerment. People need to feel important and modest. That is not something I feel is true. I don't have to feel important for me not to show my breasts to everyone in the building. Right. I'm not particularly modest, but I don't think that things need to be shown just because you can. It goes on to say that because of these modesty issues, people may not seek medical care, which is true, but it's not modesty. It's because you've suffered some sort of deep emotional harm by them not respecting your right to personal dignity. And it goes on to say that modesty, the need for modesty, is a learned thing. No, dignity is a basic human right. It's not something we learn. It is a basic human right.
I agree that modesty probably is learned with it, or, in my opinion is learned, but I'm with you with the dignity. The other thing that's been thrown around so many times is you as the person want to have control. You are not going to go give up control, and that's why you want to have this stuff like that. That is totally not true. And I've had that conversation with so many doctors, and they say the same thing to me with the practices that they have. They're like, it isn't about control, it's about feeling safe and secure, and that's what people are after. I'm sorry, but you can't feel safe and secure. And I'm not laughing, I'm laughing because it's just so obscene, literally and figuratively, that how are you going to feel safe and secure when you're totally naked in a hallway or whatever, and people are walking by and your whole being is obliterated. So there you go. That's not about being in control. It's, that's just drives me insane. We have like 30 seconds left, Jeannie. What do you think? Last thoughts?
Well, I just don't like the term modesty.
Yeah,
it is a term that they use to make it something wrong with you rather than the actual human right of dignity.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you about that modesty, and I also agree with about the control thing, because so many people have said that, it isn't control, it's about safety and security, which anybody would want to have in any aspect of their life. On that note, stay tuned, listening to Evergreen Media Network.